Agents asked him to open the trunk. The driver said it wouldn't open. They then lowered the back seat and spotted an illegal immigrant. Driver David Rene Martinez has been charged with transporting illegal immigrants for profit. The immigrant is reportedly being held as a witness. Jack Callahan, Fox News.
Former Oakland, California Police Chief LaRon Armstrong has sued the city and its mayor, saying he was unlawfully terminated in retaliation for criticizing the federal court-appointed monitor overseeing the department. General Motors recalls hundreds of thousands of heavy-duty pickups over faulty tailgates that can open unexpectedly.
General Motors is recalling more than 323,000 Chevy Silverado and GMC Sierra 2500 and 3500 pickups in the U.S. from the model years 2020 to 2024 over short circuits of electronic tailgate release switches that can open the gates, resulting in unsecured cargo falling out and increasing the risk of a crash. Regulators pinning the problem on water getting inside the switches. Owners of the recalled pickups now being urged until a fix to check that the tailgate is closed and latched before they drive the trucks. Recall notices are set to go out beginning next month. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
Lawyers for Taylor Swift have sent a cease and desist letter to a junior at the University of Central Florida over his automated tracking of Swift's private jet. The student says he means no harm, but also believes in transparency and public information. I'm Lee Silasara. This is Fox News.
Okay, can you hear better now? Yeah, turn it down a little bit. All right, we'll start all over. Thank you. All right, so we're going to have to start over. Hello, everyone. This is Lawrence Sutton with the Lawrence County Republican Party, and we're going to do really quick housekeeping. We were told we had some technical difficulties. So to start us off with, I wanted to let everybody know, please look at doing business with Farm Service Solutions, which is Chris Stutz. His phone number is 931-242-7675. And then we have Travis Coswell with United Country Southern Middle Tennessee Realty. Phone number is 931-629-3033. And if you're looking for a house or you're looking to sell your house, give Travis a call. He will do well. So we had technical difficulties in the studio, so we're going to start back again. And here's the question that I had asked. What specific issues motivated you to run, and what do you hope to accomplish if elected?
Hi, I'm Keith James, and I would like to see the superintendent of schools follow the school board's direction instead of the other way around. To me, the last 3 or 4 school board superintendents have been the leader of the whole organization in the whole county, and the school board just follows along. They don't ever question his intent or question his actions. They just do whatever he says. And the second point is teachers. Our teachers are leaving the county because we don't pay enough. We need to incentivize our teachers to perform better and pay them for what they're worth. But they can go to Murray County and make $10,000, $12,000 more in Alabama, and they can go to Rutherford County and Williamson County and make $20,000 more. So we need a better program to keep our better teachers here in the county. Excuse me.
Okay, and you're running in the 7th district.
7th district.
Okay, Mr. Bill Adams, you're running in the 1st district.
1st district, yes, sir.
Okay, you're up on that question.
What would I like to get done?
Yep, and what motivated you?
Motivated to run. I was asked to run. I actually had it on my mind. I began to study about the school board policy and procedures, and then I was asked to run later on, and we never did match notes on that. So second question is what would I want to accomplish? I feel strongly that the school system's responsibility is to come along beside mom and dad. I understand we struggle in families today with mom and dad being under one roof, but the issue is in educating our children is that the education system has become parents to what the household stands for. So I believe the school system needs to support families, support mom and dad. And secondly, that I see and I hear that just instruction time during the day has been limited because of all the burdens that have been placed by state and federal government on school systems. So I would really want to look at both of those issues and see if we can improve. I'm not non-realistic that we can accomplish that 100%, but let's work on that. Instruction time, and also understanding that the school system is responsible to support mom and dad, support homes, and not be their parents.
Okay, very good. Mr. Chad Shannon, you're in the 8th district.
Yes, sir. Yeah, thank you for having me, Lawrence. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
You know, the reason why I decided to run, I'm the son of an educator. My mom's a retired teacher, and they had their retired teacher meeting today, and I've been a big part of my life was really helping her fix her room up, and all these summers off they get that we spend at the school fixing up their classrooms. I was a part of that. I watched my mom pushing a buggy at Kroger, and I seen Kleenexes and different stuff that she had that never got to our house. It was for other people, and like Bill said, on their salary, that's tough. But a lot of them, there's two people working in the household, and there's a lot of things that go with the finances of that. My wife's a guidance counselor by education. She runs her own business now, but my sister's she works at Giles County. She's on she does the curriculum for the high school over there. So she's a EDD. She's got her doctorate. My baby sister, she works at Crockett. She's a 5th grade teacher out there, and she's been a great educator. She's in charge of working with the Beta Club and the kids that do that. And that's another reason I'm running is really focusing on the kids. I've got my slogan as student success, educator driven, and future ready. And the reason why is our teachers are the backbone of our community, and our kids are the future of our community. So I think you can really make an impact on the board. Things that I would like to change immediately. In the military, we're taught to kind of come in and observe, and you can't make a rudder steer very quickly and do things immediate, because you've got to learn to work with your fellow board members. There's 8 other people that I'll have to get on my team when we're going to vote for things, but I would like to look at our policy. Just like Bill said, some of our policies adopted from Nashville, and it's come down here into our community, and we're rural, we're conservative in nature, and that's one thing. In the Marine Corps, as a logistics officer, I wrote policy letters, went to Harvard, Kennedy School, so we worked on policy, and we've really, ironed out some directives there, and I want to be a part of that, and not solely, but I want to be a part of that and share that with some of the other districts.
Okay. So we had everybody at our last Republican Party meeting. And in the Republican Party meeting, Brandon gave each and every one of you a Republican platform. Have you guys had a chance to read that Republican platform?
Yes.
Okay.
I've went through parts of it for sure.
Okay. To me, and this is what is wrong with our Republican Party, is we have a platform, and it's actually a very good platform. When you have a chance to read it, it looks like it was written even by a minister that would have written that platform. But unfortunately, we have people that do not follow the Republican Party platform. And I think, we can call them all kinds of names, but, the big thing we like to call them is rhinos, Republican in name only, that they're called. So I just want people, when they understand that they're running, to me, I'm not as much concerned as if they're a Republican as if they're conservative. Obviously, right now, given how things are today, the Republican Party is the conservative party, unfortunately. The other parties have just gone too far woke and too far off the board. And that's kind of going to bring me to my next question on this, is what is more important, and Bill, I'm going to start this question with you. What is more important to you? Passing children on to the next grade, or hold them back if they fail? Because we are seeing in today's that everybody, little Johnny, has to be, he may not have the skills to go on, but they push him on. And our state legislator, actually in the 3rd grade, they've taken a lot of flack for this, that a child must be reading at the 3rd grade level. What is your opinion on that?
Well, first of all, we've lowered the standards, and I'm hearing that from our education world. You no longer make a F, you make a D to pass them on through to the next grade.
Right.
We live in a world that teaches that everybody gets a blue ribbon.
Right.
And, we learn great lessons. Chad and I have been talking about this. Great lessons from losing and from adversity. And it's okay to fail, but it's not okay to quit.
Amen.
And not to quit on kids. And that's why I'm running, to support families and children. So we want to keep them off the government programs. We want them to one day be great moms and daddies, and we're responsible to give them that opportunity. I agree with Mr. James that we need to keep fantastic teachers in the classrooms, and what we're doing by passing kids on through, we're setting them up to lose, to be losers. and when they're 45 years old, they're still not going to know what happened to them. So as a youngster, we need to teach them that we learn from losing, and it's okay to repeat and do it again and do it again until you get it right.
Yeah, I tell you what, I love that concept there, because I'm the same way. I've always told my children that you first have to learn to lose before you learn to win. Chad.
Yeah, along the same lines. I mean, we've got a lot of things that are different now than they were when my mom first started teaching, and I say that meaning my daughter's at the high school, and when we had parent-teacher conference, my wife and I attended, and there was very few at the school. So a lot of this the onus gets put back on the teacher for some reason, but what we got to have is we got to have influencers in the community who's going to mentor these young people. And we've got an epidemic of grandparents raising our babies, and there's just a lot to this question, and I don't have enough time to unpack this one fully.
Right.
But I agree with Bill. I think that you don't just push someone through. That's not benefiting the child. But I think that as leaders, these teachers are getting ahead of this. But how can they when people's not showing up to the school? The parent-teacher conferences and things like that. I think we need to open our schools back up and allow the parents in there. After COVID, we can't even go eat with our kids anymore, and that's a policy that needs to be lifted.
I would tend to agree with you on that. What do
we
you
want
think?
our parents involved, Lawrence. I'm
Absolutely,
sorry.
absolutely. What do you think, Mr. James?
We don't need to pass them if they're not prepared for the next grade level, obviously. But, it's a teacher's job to prepare these children. If they need tutored, if they need more home schooling from their parents, you can't always get that. But I think it goes back to the quality of your teachers. On a lot of that is how well they prepare these kids for the next grade level. But under no circumstances do I think a child should be sent on. And if you send him in the third grade, he's not prepared for fourth grade, he's always behind from now on. He's always behind the 8 ball, and he'll never catch up. And if you have to let them stay another year in the third grade or second or fourth, whatever level they need to be to get caught up, then I think that's what we ought to do.
Okay, good. I'm going to read you guys some statistics in not only the state but also Lawrence County school systems, and this will be a two-prong approach on this question. Currently, right now, in Lawrence County, the average math proficiency score is 29%. Where the Tennessee school average is 27%. On reading, the average Lawrence County score is 29% versus the state average of 30%. Now, here's the other thing that I found that was very unique with Lawrence County public school system, is that our graduation rate is in the top 5% of the states. It's over 95% of our graduation rates. As leaders in our community and businessmen, what do you think you can do for Lawrence County to get those grades up, and how can we improve? I'm going to start off the question with you, Chad.
Yeah, I had a great opportunity to talk to a teacher the other day, and we sat down and spoke for about an hour, and some of the things were alarming. We don't have books anymore. Like it's all online based, and I feel like reading, that's something that you really have to touch the book. And I think, the board, we're going to be responsible for ensuring that we have, the proper tools inside the classroom. And for these teachers, we've got to equip them. They're all ready. They know how to teach. They're great at that. We've got to equip them with the tools that they need to make sure that we're there. We used to have the accelerated reading. I've talked to my wife about starting a program to where we get people, a pizza again, so they can go get a personal pizza when they hit their AR goal.
Yeah.
Those are incentives that kids relate to. I mean, I'm an old man now, but I remember, when you hit your goal, you got to go to Pizza Hut.
I remember those incentives too. It kind of made me between that and reading, and also with math. With multiplying, subtraction, division, those things. Okay. What about you, Mr. James?
Well, I think the incentive program would work well for the kids, you know, get them interested. Anything to make them study a little more or make it more fun for them. And again, it goes back to the teachers. But we need to, as a school board, we need to set goals for our teachers to obtain and to set goals for the kids at every grade level and see that they reach those goals. And I think that would help them about as much as anything.
Okay. Mr. Adams?
We study what we're interested in.
Amen.
And when we can identify inside of a child or an adult through creativity, and we can pinpoint what that interest is, they're going to read, and you're going to dig, and you're going to study. I find that in the business world. One of the shortcomings that I see in today's employees is critical thinking. I have employees that work for me that say, well, just tell me how to do it. And I said, well, I don't know how to do it, but I'm going to empower you to learn it, how to do it. We're falling short generation after generation with that skill, that creative skill that falls into creative thinking. We've got to be able to identify inside that classroom how that child thinks. There's mechanical minds, there's inquisitive minds, there's many different types of thinking. And when we can identify those things, and your fantastic teachers, as Mr. James is talking about, will be able to do that. We have fantastic teachers now in Lawrence County. One of the issues that I see and I hear is we have to teach to a test on something called core curriculum.
Right.
And we struggle. The teachers have to cram it down kids' throats and stick with that. We live in a very rural area. The needs for a farming family versus a family that might live downtown Memphis is different. We need to be able to teach creatively with creative thinking to children, possibly in a little different way than an urban area.
You know, and I agree with that. And I think, you know, not only being, you know, parents and some of us may even be grandparents here, we like the ability to teach what our community is doing, and in order to keep our children close by. I don't think of too many people that like seeing their children move off. Here's another thing that, since we're talking about these school grades, I went and I did some research, and I went and looked at Lawrence County school districts and how they compared with other school districts and how they are viewed by people that are outside of the community. And Lawrence County school system was actually in the top third, or top 2/3, I should say. They were number 42 in what they considered the best school districts. And I tell you what I noticed was we were graded a B in academics. The teachers were actually graded an A, which I find that amazing because they are underpaid, but it shows that we have teachers that have grown up in this community, that love this community, and they're not going to leave this community, but it doesn't mean that they should not be paid the same as Murray County or Wayne County or some of these other surrounding counties. We had a B+ for clubs and activities, an A- for sports. I know that's something that you're interested in, Chad, and like I was too with sports. College prep, though, we got a B-. Our administration was given an A, and then they even had food down, and food was given a B+.
Oh.
So hearing what outsiders are looking at Lawrence County school systems, I'm going to give that question back, and I'll start with you, Bill. What do you think, when you heard these numbers, what do you think that can be done to improve upon these numbers, and also maybe what we might have done right also as well?
Sure. It's a great place to live. We visit a lot of places around the country that we know, and that's one thing that I believe that kids need to have the opportunities to travel and see. It's one of the things that we did with our children, and didn't even know we were doing it, is let them go to foreign countries, let them travel around the United States and see. And you're actually giving confidence to a child when you let him go and see and experience. The culture that we have here is very inviting. We see that in our business we're seeing a lot of move-ins. We call them move-ins from California, Nevada, Arizona. They're in Lawrence County, and they're so glad to be here because of the environments that they're coming out of. I think we're very sheltered as a community. We don't understand some of the racial tensions that are around other parts of the country. To improve, I'm going to say that we need to actually take care of our best teachers and spotlight those best teachers. Pay, I understand they need to be paid more. Pay is not going to increase productivity.
No, sir, that's correct.
It does not. You don't work harder because you get paid more. You work harder because you care.
Right.
And without a doubt, we have some of the most caring, loving teachers and administrators in Lawrence County. Let's promote them. Let's take care of them. Let's figure out a way to pay them more money. But then again, it's going to come back on the taxpayer's dime. How do we get it done?
Right.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. James.
Now, what was the question again?
The question is based upon the grades that these that outsiders have given Lawrence County school systems, what do you think that you could bring to the table and help make it even better?
Well, anytime that you get children involved and parents involved with each other, through its sports, academics, homeschooling, it doesn't matter what. But you got to get them more involved in the education system. And a lot of that comes down to the parents. A lot of parents want to just send their kids to school and say, they're y'all's for 8 hours.
Right.
And that's not the way to raise children, not in my opinion. But unless the parents get involved and the communities get involved, that makes it'd be tough. But I think that's what it'll take. And as you can see, a lot of people are moving to Lawrence County from all over the country. They're moving south as fast as they come, New York, California, because we are a small community and we are the Bible Belt.
Right.
And we are involved with the school systems.
Mr. Shannon.
Yeah, so on the study part, without understanding the target audience, because as anytime you do a study, there could be biases in there. So
Absolutely.
I'm not 100% on what the study. I haven't read that study that you're putting with the grades. But from my perspective, I've lived. I guess my daughter's 16 and she's lived 15 different places with my travel in the Marines. But I think, like Bill said, she's studying abroad this summer, so we're trying to invest in her. Not just her skill set of studying abroad and diversity of learning, how others learn. And, she went to the Naval Academy for STEM camp her freshman year. And I think those things motivate you when you're around higher achievers. When I left Lawrence County and I went through officer candidate school, once we got to the basic school, I was with people from all over the country that most of them went to the Naval Academy. So I was around some of the best people in America to make me really change professionally to where I grew most. But I think skill-based learning, life skills, job shadow programs that we're starting to invest in. We've got grants going that we've got, different trades that we're pushing big time. I think we do a good job of that. I also looking at, the way we're currently set up. We got to create an environment and let these teachers excel. The No Child Left Behind, that slows down a classroom. That can hinder a teacher because they can only teach to the slowest level.
That's correct.
And that is insane to me, because if that's the case, we need to separate those kids out. that need more. We've got interventionalists. My mom's a retired teacher, and she goes back and subs, and she plays a huge role in trying to bring kids up to the next level. And you know, and without looking at the exact study on, you know, who we target audience and who we sampled population of that, I do believe that, you know, our teachers are doing a great job. I think that there are ways that you can interrelate the teachers or the parents getting more involved, going into the parent-teacher conferences and things like that. And you know, I'm watching. You know, I watched on Facebook. We purchased a few things with grants, and that's a huge thing for these kids. When we get that grant money, that's a blessing. Robin, my wife, was in charge of a grant up in Berea College in Kentucky when we first got out of the Marine Corps, and she took these students, like Bill said, we'd rent one of those buses that, you know, one of those nice buses, and we'd take them on a charter bus to different college schools, and these are kids that never had the opportunity to do that. And what you do is you create a fire in them, and you give them hope, and you let them know, like, hey, I can go to Western Kentucky. I can go to, you know, University of Tennessee, Knoxville. I can go to UT Martin if I'm wanting to, you know, lean towards agriculture. There's something for everybody, and the answer is not always college. I don't want to lean too hard on that because,
right.
You know, you've got people that come out and learn to run a backhoe right out of high school, and they make more money than I'll ever dream about. You know.
You know, I seen a study here the other day that a good diesel mechanic can make more money than a doctor.
Exactly.
And you don't have to go to 10 years of college to be a diesel mechanic, even though it's a highly skilled. Or you even take an electrician. You know, electrician, like you said, electrician can be 22, 25 years old making six figures.
And Lawrence, that is something we are absolutely doing right now. We've got a great program. We've got great mentors in the community.
We do.
That are teaching them, and we are blessed. I've been all over. We are blessed to have what we have right here.
And it's going to increase. That's what I'm hearing. And I'm jumping in, but that's one of the things the tech department in Lawrence County is doing a fabulous job with. They've recognized that, but we need to continue to support that, and more money and skill need to be put in that area.
You know, I always say my best teacher, my favorite teacher ever that was the most relevant to my life was Shannon Watson. It was a keyboarding class my senior year, and I took it honestly as a, you know, just really an easy class. I was ready for football. I was trying to play college football. I took it as a class that I really didn't take that serious. In that class, her leadership, her mentorship, 9/11 happened while I was sitting at her desk, and she wheeled in the TV. There's a lot that changed my life in that classroom. Keyboarding I use every day. Anytime you're writing, typing as a professional, I have to type, you know, letters and different things. That was the foundation for me. That was where, you know, algebra is great, but I haven't used it, you know, in a long time. So
I think we put a lot too much emphasis on grades themselves, on scores. I mean, test scores.
I agree with you on that.
And you know, like I say, a kid's going to get out of school and drive a backhoe. He don't have to know algebra, and you know, be able to know what Shakespeare said. You know, and you got different levels of children graduating. Some want to go to college. Yeah, they need to be pushed and make the better grades. But if you're going to drive a backhoe or agriculture, you know, your B is fine. You know, that'll work just fine.
I know Bill will agree with me here, but I have a doctorate all the way up in business. We didn't take one classes on taxes. I still struggle with taxes you know, our tax code's that thick, which that don't have anything to do with the school system, but we could introduce our young people to the tax system and let them know what, you know, a 1099 versus a W-2 is and kind of the vehicle in that, you know, and the benefits, the pros and cons. I think that would be great. And they do have a little business class. They teach marketing and different things, but I think
know, it's funny,
great.
you're talking about, you know, the tax codes and, you know, and I think about the Obamacare legislation, you know, it was over 2,000 pages. For people that can't see that are on the radio, go to YouTube. You know what I'm holding here in my hand? What I'm holding here in my hand is the Constitution of the United States. Like 20-something pages. The second greatest document ever written in the history of this world, with the Bible being number one, in my opinion. But this is the second best. And maybe there are some people that will disagree and say the Magna Carta or something else. But to me, when I read this, this was inspired by God and our Bible. So yes, you are right. Bringing me to my next question, and this is extremely, extremely controversial, okay? So I'm going to warn you ahead of time. Right now, the Tennessee legislation is trying to put through a bill to allow teachers that are trained to be able to carry a gun at school. What is your thoughts, Bill?
Me? You want to go
Yes, sir.
first?
Yes.
I think it needs to be studied. I'm not opposed to it at all. First of all, I believe teachers need to be able to defend themselves, and also students. To this point, I really believe in Lawrence County we've done a really good job.
We have.
With the SROs and the Sheriff's Department.
We have one of the best sheriffs in this country.
We do. And I think we're on point with that. There needs to be more done. I know there's been some incidences lately that were addressed really quickly, and but that is a number one goal. It should be for the school board, is to maintain safety for all of our kids, and whatever resources, if it's people, if it's money, facilities, whatever it is, to be able to take care of those kids and those employees.
Mr. James.
I'd be for it, as long as whoever's carried a gun, they've been well trained, psychologically as well as physically trained on how to use a gun, and trained psychologically, know when and where and how to use it. You know, these kids have got to be protected as well as the teachers themselves.
Amen.
Yeah, so one of the things when I was getting out of the Marine Corps is we had to put up no gun signs. And my Marines, I was actually the OPSO for Nashville, and my Marines were shot in Chattanooga. That sign did not stop one bullet. I would rather a good guy with a gun, have a gun than a bad guy with a gun. That being said, I'm tactical in nature, and I think that's something that our sheriff needs to be involved in. And I'm not just, even though my one opinion matters, I still want to hear other sides. And I think when our law enforcement's involved, sometimes, when they're trying to tactically deploy into a situation, other people can hurt that situation. Like I watched on Facebook last week, we had a situation in Pulaski, and a lot of the parents were mad that they weren't notified. But, when I went to Iraq and they put it on the TV that, hey, we're coming, that's kind of, as a captain in the Marine Corps, that was kind of bothersome to me. Mm-hmm. I think we've got a great sheriff, and I think, we've got a good department there, and I think that's not a, my opinion is, obviously, is a good guy with a gun's better than a bad guy with a gun. But tactically, we have 18-year-olds going to Iraq, but we've trained them. We've broke them down specifically for tactics. I don't think that my sister, as a teacher, I know she can use a gun, but I don't think that the tactics, or we don't have enough time for them to learn all that. And I think, for me, I believe that needs to be a question that we interact as a board with the sheriff and bring him up and say, present us what your thoughts are. How can we best handle this? Because our main priority has to be safety in the schools. It has to be.
To me, it does. It has to be. But I will tell you guys this. There's 98.4% of all mass shootings happen in gun-free zones.
Absolutely.
Where people are going to go where they know that there is not a gun.
And I lost brothers to this situation, so I do know that. Once we put the no gun signs up, he shot right through the window, and I got a picture of it that we took the day that it happened.
You actually sent me the picture.
Yeah, I sent you the picture. There's like 14 bullet holes right there to where he just shot through the window. And I got interviewed by MSNBC. They tried to get me to, bite on this, and they called me about it and said, what do you think about having bulletproof windows? And I'm like, why would we have bulletproof windows when Marines are tactically trained? But our teachers are not tactically trained to deploy on the enemy when those situations happen. So that needs to be something that I think we work with our legislators and our sheriff's department locally,
Okay. What is your thoughts on legislation that actually went into effect last year on July the 1st, 2023, that says all meetings must be open for the public to speak at? And I'm going to start with you, Mr. James.
I don't have a problem with that. All government meetings being open for the public. They, you got a right to listen and concerned citizen express their opinion.
Okay.
I'm good with it. Follow policy. The rules of the board, whatever that is. If it's a notice, 48 hours, 72 hours, as long as it's orderly. I believe every taxpayer and citizen has a right to speak.
That's our First Amendment.
Setting, yes, sir.
What about you, Ms.
I don't
Shannon?
understand why legislation has to be passed. Our founding fathers developed that.
You know
Well,
what?
if
I agree with you on
I'm elected
that.
as an official,
Yep.
and you're a taxpayer, you have every right to come up there and tell me if I'm doing my job wrong because you're my boss. I'm not. I represent the district, but overall the county can come in and tell me at any time if they're not happy with the job we're doing. I expect them to do that, and if they don't, and if that's not happening, then we've got a problem with our procedures. And I'm not going to go into a situation, but that's one of the reasons I'm sitting on this microphone. I wrote a letter on 11/16, requested to speak. The board didn't let me speak. I wanted to talk about the elementary education. I felt like they didn't allow me to speak, and I fought for this country, and I feel like we have a right, not just me, but every taxpayer has a right to come and stand. Now, they need to be professional. There needs to be boundaries.
Absolutely.
You're not going to stand up here and cuss us. You're not going to do this, and you got 1 to 3 minutes, however long it is, and it needs to be, set forth. But I expect our community to come out to our board member or meetings, and I really hope that we start doing that.
Okay. Another, what I feel like is controversial that is starting to happen in our legislation they're starting to look at. But I want to get everybody's thoughts on charter schools and school choice. What do you feel on that, Chad?
Man, this is controversial, so this
Yep.
went into legislation stuff. I know teachers are opposed to that. I'm for, our students getting the best education. I mean, these are voucher stuff that's going on in Nashville. I'm not aware of it ever reaching down the rural areas like this, but I know when I was living in a more Nashville area, I think that was more something that was coming into play, but I'm not aware of anything pushing down right now. But that's definitely a controversial issue that legislators need to, work out and figure that one out. So.
Okay. What about you, Mr.
I'm
Adams?
open to study on the voucher situation. I want some more study done on that. My main focus is the child, and mom and dad determining what's best for that child. Mm-hmm. There's some tough situations that we even have in our employees that parents are having to make hard choices. Do I homeschool? Do I private school? Do I public school? And also what's available in the public setting. The type of classes that are available for maybe a special needs situation. So there needs to be more study on that. I hear from the public school setting, pro all the way public schools. We also have a large community in Lawrence County of homeschoolers. Mm-hmm. And we see a lot of great kids coming out of those homeschool situations. So my promise is we're going to watch and observe, and we're going to study, and but number one, it's going to be about that kid and making a really good student with that kid, giving them an opportunity to be a really good society member for our community.
What about you, Mr. James?
I'm for anything that helps our children get a better education. And what I understand about school vouchers and choice, the decision's going to be left up to the parents. And if the parents think that school will be better for their children, I don't see a problem with letting them send them to it. If they think that's a better choice than public schools, then okay. I don't have a problem with that at all.
Well, I look at things just a little bit differently, and because I'm not looking at it where you're coming at it from the child's perspective, I'm looking at it almost as a financial for our county, because we have so many people moving in that if you were to give people a choice with a voucher, then we would have churches and other places that could open up other schools with facilities that are already there, where maybe we don't have to, as a county, go out and build a 40 or 60 or $80 million school, but the actual churches or other communities that can utilize buildings already, then can take the money and use it. I know from what little I've seen so far, they're talking about $7,000, and I actually know of a couple of different schools here in this county that is doing that for much less than the $7,000 that would be coming to them. Mm-hmm. So I look at it like that, and I really believe that when to take what you said, Mr. James, when we get the parents involved and they feel like they have a choice, maybe they will get more involved with their children in that education than when they just don't think, oh, it's, I have to send them to this school or I have to send them to that school, but they're actually given a choice of what they want. So I'll tell you that's how I view it and how I look at it, but I'm with you guys as well. I want what's best for the child. And I really think that, unfortunately, we have gotten to a point, and I don't think this about Lawrence County by any means, but I'm talking about as a nation in general, or maybe even a state, that we have gotten to a point now where we are taking the children away from the parents, and they are being, in my views, indoctrinated. And that's going to get me to my next question, is on this indoctrination, and what are your views with this indoctrination curriculum that's being put out, maybe not here in Lawrence County, but definitely in Tennessee, and some of these obscene books that are being displayed not only in our public school system, but even in our library systems. Chad, I'm going to give you first chance on that one.
Yeah, I mean, I think we should stick to the basics. What do they call it? The 3 R's:
Yes.
reading, writing, and arithmetics.
That's right. That's right.
I'm just kidding.
I know you are, but everybody gets it, though.
Yeah, I mean, I had a parent, I was out knocking on doors, and I had a parent tell me that his 6th grader got asked about transitioning, and they were teaching a class about it, and
Here in Lawrence County.
Yes, sir. And it was a very good source, and that troubled me. And I believe, if we don't have much time anyway in a day, and these teachers are trying to get everything in, but our curriculum is super important. We vote on that as a board, and that's how we can protect our teachers the best way possible. But I do not want to see any of that going on. 6th graders specifically being asked if they're going to have sex before marriage. I think that's something the parents need to talk about with their youth ministers and different things, that it has no place, period, in our school system. I think, like I said, as a joke, the 3 R's, obviously there's a W and a A in there, but reading, writing, focus on that. And if we get back to that and get back to the basics, I think that we will excel.
Okay, Mr. Adams.
Our curriculum has got to be policed heavily, and we need to be held accountable for the curriculum. As a state, as a county, we're responsible for that curriculum. I think it needs to be studied more deeply on looking through these books and what's in it. But it comes down to moral values. It comes down to a curriculum writer and also the team that gives thumbs up on that curriculum. Is it acceptable or is it not acceptable? As parents, as educators, we need to hold the school board accountable for those things. If the state's pushing it down, we need to fight back on it. But we're responsible for what goes into those young minds and what's displayed.
Boys should use boys' bathrooms, girls use girls' bathrooms. There shouldn't be any wokeism in the school system at all.
Can I hear an amen, everybody?
Amen.
That's just, if parents want to talk to their children about that stuff, it should be left to the parents. Schools, the teacher of children, reading and writing arithmetic, as another gentleman said, and that's what we need to do. And another thing, our schools need to strive a little more to excel our students. The whole country has got into what I call mediocrity, and they don't want our children to win at sports. They all want everybody to be even and equal. They're not. Children should be able to strive to win and do the best they can do. And I don't feel like our schools teach that anymore.
No, and I would agree with you, because we want to do collectivism where everybody's the same, and we're individuals, and God made us unique. Every single one of us have our own unique abilities, and God even gave us our own unique talents. Mm-hmm. And to me, that I agree, everything right there is that the schools are not to be there to push an agenda, but to try to get to where that child, and you said it earlier, Bill, about how the kids, if they're interested in something, then they will go into that and they will put their full effort into it. And if they do not necessarily need to have it crammed down their throat if it's something that's not going to help them with their job later on. Right. Should we have the basics down? Absolutely. But there comes a time where I think that we are all trying to teach everybody the same when we are all individuals. And bringing me to my next question, and again, this has been kind of controversial, especially with what has happened with Tennessee talking about not taking any federal money, maybe. What do you believe is more important, receiving federal dollars or getting rid of federal mandates? And I'll start with you, Mr. James.
I think we need to get rid of the educational system at the federal level. I think that should be dissolved.
Yes.
In the federal level. And if the government doesn't want us to send us federal money, then we'll just do it ourselves. We have to send it to them,
Yep.
And if they don't send it back to them, let's just keep our own money.
We'll just keep our own money. Okay. Mr. Adams.
I believe we got to study it. I'm not opposed to federal dollars, but when it's being crammed down and we're pro-abortion and we're pro
LGBTQ,
LBG, whatever you want to say, I've got a huge problem with that. It comes down to morals. It comes down to moms and dads teaching little Johnny and little Susie in the way that God intended them to be. I believe it needs to come from the state level. If the state sees it and it doesn't fit Tennessee, we need to absolutely push back on it. I agree with Mr. James. I believe it's the state that we need to take care of. And if the feds agree with the way we think, maybe we'll take some dollars. But and then it's pushed on down to the county. But we've got to take care of children. And I would be fine with not accepting Fed dollars. Mainly in a lot of these extra programs that's being pushed into the counties, social programs.
Right.
So we've gotten so far away from education. The percent of time that teachers spend actually instructing is limited more and more each year. And we can get into that later, but there's a lot of time in the day that teachers are not teachers. They have other duties assigned to them.
Your thoughts, Chad?
Man, that's 100% right. The teachers are kind of getting put in a box. They go to college, they study, they understand theory, and they know how to teach. And then we follow these curriculums that kind of puts them in a box. They don't have any top coverage. Dissolve the Fed immediately. Dissolve it. That's not on me as a school board member, but my thought process is stop sending money federally, and then we'll stop taking it back. Let's just keep it at the state level, and we'll run it from the state. That's Liberty 101. That's the mindset of how I feel. I think that rather than mandating and enforcing our teachers to teach within a box, I mean, my sister created upbeat songs to figure out how to learn science at Crockett, and it took their grade level up high. She does a lot with robotics in the Beta Club. Get out of our teachers' way. We're standing in their way. Get out of their way. Move away from the Fed. But that's not my decision. I'm not a legislator. We'll be at the local level. But if that was my opinion when we pick curriculum, those have to be studied. We have to review it. Instead of just picking a curriculum, we have to know what all's in that curriculum. It takes a lot of work. And, that's something I'm willing to do. I've always read. I enjoy that type of reading, and that's where I'll be on it.
Okay. I was informed, typically we'd only have about 3 minutes, but because of losing some time and also because of everybody being as interested as they are, we've been given 10 extra minutes. Is everybody good with that, with the 10 extra minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. My next question is this, and to me it's kind of a catch-22. But all of us have seen how much technology has improved over the last 20 to 30 years. And not only has technology improved, but one of the few things that has actually gone down in cost has been the cost of technology. And schools should have less financial strain than what they had in the 90s. In your opinion, what can we do in order to improve the monies that we are receiving, which, by the way, right now, Lawrence County gets $10,778 per student. What would you like to see this money doing to improve the education process of our children? And I'll start with you, Chad.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think, we have every student you talk to is different. Each have different goals. I think we ask them. We do a good job of, it's guidance counselors to try to figure out what path we're going to put them on. But I think there needs to be more flexibility to allow them to stay in that path. When I was in, it was dual enrolled, and there was other type of pathways that you could do. But some of that's going to be requirement. You need the input from the teachers. You need to examine kind of, with leadership, every student's different, and you never know which path they're going. So I think what we do is we try to take a square and we fit it in a circle. And that's not all the time. Every kid's not the same. And for me, I'm in IT, so, there's a lot to unpack in this question, with the knowledge I have. I work for Department of Correction. I do IT. There, you got to look at bandwidth. We're expanding bandwidth within our institutions right now, so that's a big expense. There's firewalls that you got to look at to expand, but with the money going into there, I think we need to do a segmentation, maybe segment like-minded kids, maybe get them into a backhoe maybe during school and take them out and teach these guys that are trying to go that route. It's just our education in Tennessee is not the same as Oregon, and we're not. Every state's different, and I think with our local money, we should be able to use it how we want to. And that was a long workaround to get to where I'm saying. We need to be able to spend our money, the best way that we possibly can as a school district. And to that could be segmenting more opportunities for kids. If you're going the college route, let's focus on these classes. You got your Spanish, you got, a foreign language you have to take and things like that. But if you're never going to college and that's not your intent, maybe look at getting you into something that's feeding you better to help you out to start your own business.
What do you think, Mr. James?
Well, we ought to be able to use the money a lot more wisely than what we do. I know there's a lot of waste in schools, and I don't really know that I have an answer for that question. That's one I would have to look at, but I would think a consensus from the teachers. You would need to go to the teachers and see what they needed to use that would help them better educate our children. And I don't think I could give a good answer to that myself, because I don't know exactly what they need at this point. But I think the teachers would probably have the answer to that.
Mr. Adams?
Maybe teacher supplies would be one thing. I know every teacher's always behind, and oftentimes they buy supplies out of their personal pockets. The schools have gotten better at supplying funds, classroom funds, on an annual basis. One of the things I'm going to go back to, one of my first statements, was creativity, and allowing kids to be exposed to as many opportunities for as job fields, personal interests that they might have, as much as they possibly can. And they've got to get out of those classrooms and see what's going on. Teachers need to be creative. As a school board, we need to get out of the way and allow those teachers, I agree with Chad, allow them to be creative. What I am seeing in the workplace is a mixture of IT and also hands-on work. There's almost a new type of career being formed of a mechanical type person that's capable of doing IT work, that has a mechanical mind, but also has a business mind. And so those are highly skilled, they're highly paid employees right now, very desirable in the workplace. It's much different than just a scientist or a doctor. And I agree with Chad 100% that you can actually make a really good living as a diesel tech. They're not mechanics anymore, they're techs.
Right.
So you plug up the computer, you read the screen, and it gives you the information you need. Let's get them out of the classrooms and let them see.
Okay. We touched on this earlier with the teachers, and I'm just going to tell you, there's 2 different studies that I looked at, and maybe I don't necessarily know how reliable they are, but I looked at them, and to me it made sense. But our teachers here in Lawrence County, in 2 different instances, were given A ratings. And there are a lot of schools, areas that I saw C's and D ratings in these school communities. So what would you do to try and attract better teachers, if that's possible? I mean, I'm sure we can always improve on some of the teachers, but what would you do to attract better teachers without necessarily costing the taxpayer in order to raise their salaries? I'll start with you, Chad.
Yeah, so I mean, if the way I'm understanding it is we're getting A ratings, and I know a lot of our teachers, and they're built from Lawrence County,
Right.
and these are people that have aspired to be a teacher because there was a teacher in their life that mentored them at some point, and that's what they want to be like. I think get out of their way. This goes back to, getting out of their way and allowing them to teach. But to find money for the budget, we need to do that. A teacher's aide right now makes about $12,000 a year, and that's unfortunate. They work hard, they're in there, and that's not good pay at all. So
it's not. And I'll tell you another thing, and I'll throw this stat out there before I go to you, Mr. Adams. But currently Lawrence County is getting $10,778 per student per year, but the state median is $12,422. So to me, even if we were looking at the middle of the road, Lawrence County to me seems to be getting shafted by about $1,650 per student per year. And as we all know, this is just how it is. Our inflation being what it is due to Bidenomics, in the last 4 years, we've only had a 13% increase for our children. Now, I don't know about anybody else, but I mean, my cost has definitely gone up a lot more than 13% in the last couple of years. So I'll let you finish that question, Mr. Adams.
Again, money is not going to attract talent. It takes money to operate an operation. I'm not going down that path right now. I would like to, as a school board member, I'd like to begin to ask the questions: are we recruiting? What is what are we doing about retention of our fantastic teachers, and also about recruiting? We've constantly got to be on the recruit mode, especially in this environment that we're in right now, that we're constantly recruiting, finding out where the best teachers are, and recruiting. We need to be asking those questions. What can we do to keep you here? What is it that you are needing? Back to your second question. What is it that attracts you to keep you here? And also, what would you do to attract another teacher like yourself? I think we really need to study those things, and I'm not sure we're doing that. We need to turn the page in the book and begin to ask those tough questions.
What do you think, Mr. James?
Well, we have a lot of assets here in Lawrence County that other people don't have. We got a very unique environment, small schools, at least semi-small schools. It's a community-oriented environment. The families are good families. They get involved with the kids. Our children, we don't have a problem. We don't have gangs in our system yet, thank goodness. And I think that would be the way to recruit more people or better teachers and advertise us as a country-type system that has good students and a good place to work and a good place to live. And maybe that would incentivize some of them. And like I said, we need to recruit our teachers And I know the school system paid some of the older teachers last year, gave them I believe it was I don't know exactly how much, $4,000 or $5,000 for their last few years to keep them from going to Murray County and Alabama to get more money when they retire. And they gave them an incentive to do that. And I think we need to do a little more of that, and as well as like advertise our quality environment here in Lawrence County.
Okay. Last question, and we got 30-second answer here. What actions, whether you are elected or not, would you like to see the board take in the next term? And I will start off with you, Mr. James.
Well, there's so many I'd like to see them do. But one of the first ones, I would like to see them open the meetings up so people come in and talk to them. And maybe they would learn something from the community as what they needed to change, and not have them where you can't even get in to talk to a board member. I know my son called all 9 board members when he wanted to talk. He got one response from one board member. None of the rest of them responded.
Okay.
And I think they need to communicate with the community a whole lot better.
Mr. Adams.
We spend a low percentage of our day as teachers. I would like to see the teachers take the handcuffs off of teachers and allow them to teach. Let's figure out as a board, as a state, how we can do that. We've handcuffed them with so many social programs and other state mandated and federal mandated programs around that teacher that they can't teach. Let's deal with that.
Okay. Finally, you, Mr. Shannon.
Yeah, for me, I believe involving the community more. Also, allowing the teachers to have more input. For me, as a board member, actually going, and I don't want to make teachers nervous because I know when they get their ratings, their principal comes in, and I know from family members that's kind of puts you on the edge. But I want to, as a board member, go to the principals and find out who their great teachers are. And you know, when I was in the Marine Corps, we looked at our great recruiters and we went and taught our other ones based off of that. So I think you're not just trying to focus on the bottom 10%. You focus on your top 10%, reward them, and then what you do is you go and teach based off that model. Maybe have some train the trainers as teachers that's in here that, hey, you know, your score over here at Etheridge was this last year. I'd love for you to come over and maybe teach a class to the teachers, you know. And I think there's various ways you can do that. And a lot of that is for me to work harder as a board member and get more involved. It's not just a once-a-month meeting, and it's essentially a volunteer position. But if you're going to do it, you better have your pants on ready to go, you know, and that's where I'm at.
Okay.
I'll put the effort in.
Well, I want to thank the Lawrence County Republican Party for having this. I also want to thank Farm Service Solutions, Chris Stutz, 931-242-7675, and then also Travis Caldwell with United Country Southern Middle Tennessee Realty, 931-629-3033 for sponsoring our program. Everybody have a great day, and God bless Lawrence County, Tennessee.
You're up